Sorry about the shortlist video, but hey, I'm living on the edge here. I promise I'm not going to show you anything else. I just can't have my torso covered right now because of how nauseous I am. This is my daily morning nausea video. I woke up at 4 a.m., had some diarrhea, and then I did some dry heaving until I started vomiting bile. And I think I have gastroparesis because I do not have acid reflux in spite of the barfing thing. It doesn't matter what I eat or don't eat. It doesn't matter that I sleep sitting up. Every single morning. So gastroparesis is delayed gastric emptying. So something about my digestion is slow. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to. And one other sign of that is that I get full very quickly. I take 2 or 3 bites of a meal, maybe half of a plate of dinner, and I'm full. I never eat the whole plate. I always take home leftovers if I go out, and when I make my food at home, I usually only eat half of my dinner, save the rest or throw it away. Apparently, that's a sign of gastroparesis. And I've been pursuing this problem for over 10 years because I've had this problem since I was a kid. It's gotten worse with time. And I'm on medical leave right now, but the stress that is created by having diarrhea and vomiting in the early morning, first thing, it's a lot of stress for anyone. For an autistic guy, it puts me in a position of being susceptible to meltdowns. Now, I am grateful. I'm grateful that the people who are in my life understand my issue, because that hasn't always been the case. I used to live with people who thought that I was bulimic, because one of them was bulimic, and they would hear me throwing up in the morning and think that I was purging. And rather than asking me about it, I just get a really, really long text one day when I'm away from home saying that I have to stop. It's not okay. I'm triggering our roommate who used to have those issues, and I need to stop, or else I have to leave. And I was so ignorant to what was going on for me that even though I knew that I wasn't binging and purging, somehow my brain was like, oh my God, no, I'm so sorry. I'm bulimic. You're right. I have to stop. What's wrong with me? But the thing is, I couldn't stop because I wasn't binging and purging. I would just be living my regular life, having, didn't really matter how much or little I ate, but I was not binging. So eventually I was just having to barf in the faraway bathroom, which I wasn't really supposed to use, even though nobody was living in that bedroom, because my roommate used that bedroom and bathroom to do her crafts, where she would sew clothes and then dye them in the bathtub. But I don't give a fuck about that because it was not fair anyway. And if they're going to yell at me for barfing, then I'm going to go in the faraway bathroom. And I lived with them for 2 or 3 years. I wasn't allowed to stand up for myself because it was just always seen as aggression. even though the person who I thought was my friend that I moved in with would just yell at me and bully me. And I didn't know I was autistic, and now I know that people often react negatively to autistics. People often think we're lazy and immature, and it's incredibly stressful and depressing, and alienating and crazy making, and did I already say frustrating? When you're trying your hardest to just be normal and the people in your life are mad at you for not doing it well enough. So, yeah, I don't really care that nobody even watches my videos, because I just need to say all this stuff. I need to get it out. And, I could call a crisis line, but there's no amount of talking to people that really does the job. I usually end up feeling like I want to take care of them because I don't want to be too complicated and make them worry or think too hard about my problems. So it's harder for me to get into it or share with people unless it's a real crisis and whatnot, and I'm just spiraling. But yeah, I like a lot of people had a very hard life, and it gave me PTSD, and I didn't know I was autistic, so I always thought that all my issues were because of PTSD, which I was diagnosed with when I was 17, so that kind of became my framework of understanding my issues. But it was weird because it just seemed like nothing was ever going to change. And it didn't always seem like I was upset about triggers or the past. It just seemed like I was really sensitive and would get anxious and overwhelmed by just trying to go see people. Once I, left my teen years and started working all the time, the stuff I used to do where I would visit relatives here and there on a weekend or something for fun, that didn't feel fun anymore. It didn't feel possible even. Yeah. Oh, I have some good news. Yesterday, I got an email from the Department of Vocational Rehab informing me that I'm now on the wait list because I've been accepted. So that's really great news, and helps me out because I know that in the future at some point I'm going to have somebody helping me to figure this stuff out, the intersection between my symptoms and my responsibilities, and how to make it work. And another piece of good news is that I got an email back from the Washington State Healthcare Authority about my peer counselor application. They accepted my application, and now I need to be looking out for an email invitation to their 80-hour training. So that's really exciting too, because it's kind of like my life goal. I've mentioned here before, but I went to grad school for 2 years because I thought I was gonna become a therapist at that point, and was burnt out but didn't understand I had autism, so I thought my escape from burnout was to achieve the career that I thought would work for me, which was being a therapist. And I didn't stop working. I worked, and then I also started going to school. So I was already burnt out, and then I added school on top of it. And suffice it to say, I lasted for 2 years, but I did not graduate. So now, peer counseling is definitely not the same thing as being a therapist by any means, but it is a similar role where you are in a listening role, helping someone with their issues. The difference is that you are more like a support for them to work out their own issues. You don't diagnose them. You don't, recommend medication or therapies or anything like that. You help them clarify their goals, help them identify the ways they might achieve those goals, break those things down into steps, and you can share about your experiences as they are relevant, if that's welcomed or wanted. But yeah, the peer is really the operative term here, because you're not coming at it as someone who has all the expertise and knows how to heal people, but someone who has the lived experience of having been in a difficult situation that they had to improve by seeking support. And autism actually doesn't qualify as a mental health challenge in their opinion, but I had applied in 2020. In 2020, before I knew I was autistic, and I was talking about PTSD and substance use. And they found that older application and said that using that I could qualify. So yeah, I'll be able to look back on my past and identify the ways that I've grown, and that's always helpful, because when you're looking at your issues and trying to solve them, you often overlook the ones that you've already dealt with effectively, or the ones that have improved with time. Anyway, I'm feeling kind of nauseous again. I don't know if you could hear that, but my stomach just gurgles. It's this gastroparesis is like the tissue right in the middle of my abdomen just does that. It cramps up, and it tries to push the contents either up or down. I'm holding out hopes that someday all of my content will be seminal, genius, profound, valuable information about the lived autistic experience. We shall see. But I'm going to keep doing this because it helps me to talk about my issues. Oh. You know, also before I knew I had autism, like right before, the couple years before, I found out about non-duality. Um, and I got obsessed with it. It's this concept from Eastern thought that there's everything in existence is not separate. It's not like there's literally one thing, but like there's not two things. You can't say that my body is literally a separate one thing because it relies on the entire world around it to survive, and it arose from that world. And everything is a part of each other. And so, how does that become an obsession? Well, the idea is that because there's only one thing, all of your problems and your ideas about yourself are just that, are just this. And if there's something called enlightenment, then that's here too. Everything is enlightened. Everything is just this. And I kind of lost sight of things because I knew that my problems were not getting better, but I thought I was just supposed to spiritually bypass them and pretend like it didn't matter to me, or like I didn't notice or something. So, yeah. Oh, my cat's on the prowl. He's coming to get me. And I really feel nauseous, so I'm gonna go. Oh my god. Okay. Goodbye.